I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation, the disappearance of mother of three, Maya Millete. It's a case involving love, jealousy, and spellcasters. Here's the story. Maya Millete was a vibrant mother of three who vanished from her Chula Vista home in January of 2021, just days before her daughter's birthday. Friends and family say she had been planning a family trip. Instead, her phone went silent, and her husband Larry claimed she simply left. But investigators found chilling signs of control and obsession. Hundreds of messages, secret recordings, and searches for spells to make someone stay. As weeks turned to months, suspicion grew. Family members held vigils, demanding answers, while police uncovered a timeline that pointed closer to home. Nearly 2 years later, Larry Millete was arrested and charged with Maya's murder, despite her body never being found. The case now stands as a haunting symbol of love turned deadly and a family's relentless fight for truth in the face of unbearable loss. This really has been so difficult. She hasn't been found. The children without a mom, and now dad is locked up waiting for his trial to begin. I want to play for you a secretly recorded argument between Maya, who's also known as May, and Larry. Larry's her husband, Larry Millete. So here is the couple, so you get to hear some of the dynamic of what was happening in the months leading up to her disappearance.
He's been trying to court you the whole time. He's been trying, the pictures from your thing, you know, you guys got really close together on your desk. Always right here, always together, you know, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And then you start feeling stuff.
So that's enough for you to wish death on me all the time?
Oh, that's enough that, you know, that you gradually had an affair since December. And he probably, whenever he got hired or whatever, and you got close to him, oh, he's cute and all that stuff. You were probably the one that hired him. You know, you interviewed
Seriously?
him. You interviewed him.
I did not interview.
You know what I mean? To get into your team or whatever.
Really?
Really? I don't know. What you guys were doing, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night all the time, and your projects and your team projects, mentoring and all that stuff.
So after all this stuff that you're accusing me of,
mentoring.
And this is exactly why.
This is
and
like
then
the mentoring stuff.
This is you said this wasn't going to happen.
No,
and it still happens.
No, but
and then you bring it up every day.
Your thing is like
every day you do this.
It was never
every day
a thing.
You do this.
You always like, oh, it was the thing, but no, it was gradual. You guys, he was going for you already. He was going for you because he wasn't happy with this thing. He was going for you. You didn't even see it. You didn't even see it. He was trying to court you the whole time. You didn't even see it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see it coming.
What's your point? I'm asking you why you would say stuff like that and then you go there and then you want to be together.
The part that really jumped out to me in all of that is that why you wish death on me all the time? This is a husband and a wife, a mother and a father. Is that why you wish death on me all the time? Gives us some insight into what was happening here. Brings us to the first question in our investigation tonight. Was Maya Millete in fear for her life? Were these death threats? What was going on? Here to help answer that question is the sister of Maya Millete, Mary Chris Julier, is with us, and psychotherapist and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey. Great to see everyone. Mary Chris, nice to see you. Was your sister in fear? Was she in fear?
She might have been. Going through, what had happened, and this, again, she's very secretive. She doesn't really had shared so much of what was really going on with their relationship, uh, her relationship with Larry. But again, December of 2020, she did express when she did said she's going for a divorce, and then that if anything happens to her, it's gonna be her husband.
Yeah. It's like she knew, Mary Chris, she knew what was going, how, and clarify for me the divorce. Did Larry know that she was going to go for a divorce? Was she telling him? Was she secretly trying to set things up? Was there any fear about what would happen if Larry found out that she was going to seek a divorce?
Yeah, she did. When she did ask for to help her with the divorce fee, she didn't want Larry to know that she is going through the divorce. So she is fearful. She did don't want to ruin her daughter's birthday that weekend. But yeah, she was very fearful of what might happen to her and the kids. She was really fearful, not for her, really for her life, but she was fearful for the kids.
Dr. Janie Lacey, let me ask you, what does it tell you about Larry Millete if Maya is afraid to let him know that she's going to seek a divorce? And what did you hear in that back and forth argument as well?
Well, Vinnie, it tells me a lot, and my heart certainly goes out to Maya's family. You know, when I heard the secret recording, and from what I have seen as far as Larry's behavior that is documented, to me, it is almost this example, Vinnie, of what we call and just hearing the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship, and that is when the victim decides to leave, Vinnie, right? The evidence shows that Maya just wasn't just afraid. She was systematically planning her escape, as we just heard from her beloved sister, while trying to protect what mattered most to her, her children. So everything she did in those final weeks shows a woman who understood the danger she was in, but was caught between saving herself and keeping her family intact. And I think, you know, this evidence that we also are finding it's overwhelming, that it paints a very disturbing picture in my mind, Vinnie, that Maya's friends, and we just heard from her family, consistently describing, you know, Larry's behavior as controlling and stalker-like, I believe. And we're not talking about just a jealous spouse, in my opinion. We're talking about someone who was tracking her movements. I believe he was also hiding her daughter's cell phone in Maya's vehicle. And that's premeditation. That's surveillance, Vinnie. But I think what's really chilling in this pattern of escalation, from what I understand, is on the very day that Maya disappeared, Larry sent a text message. And to me, that's not just fear-inducing behavior, that's a threat. And Maya knew it. She told her friends and about the physical abuse. She confided that she was afraid of his reaction and every action she took. And to me, in those final weeks, Vinnie, shows a woman who understood she was in danger.
Mary Chris, I know your sister was very, very private, but did you or any of your siblings or anyone else in the family get a sense that Larry was potentially dangerous?
No, to me, he wasn't. I don't know what person he had become for the last year of their marriage. It's because, yeah, he's been in a family for since they were 18 years old. But I didn't see him really that danger person, but he can be a, I guess, a potential able to do what he could have probably done for my sister.
Dr. Janie Lacey, I just want to take a moment here and think about, there's a trial that's going to happen. And if you could just take a moment maybe and just give a little advice to Mary Chris for her and the family and how they should approach this and how best that they can handle what's going to be clearly a very, very difficult time.
Yeah, it is going to be a very difficult time. And I think the most important thing Mary Chris and the family can do is to come together. Because when the evidence comes out and the things that are going to be probably shared in this case could be very triggering and could probably give some insight to what Maya was going through. And I know that sometimes family members feel a lot of remorse and guilt that they couldn't have done something or they shouldn't have been there. But I highly, highly recommend to leave that and just be present, be together, and to really give voice to your beloved sister. You know, when the person who cannot speak and they cannot share what was really happening in their life, the best thing that family and friends can do is to come together and give voice to the voiceless in this situation.
Dr. Janie Lacey, thank you so much. All right, I know both of you are going to stick around. We've got more to get to. Coming up next, what is the status of the search for Maya?
All she said actually is just, be ready. It's going to be a messy divorce. She said, if something happens to me, it's going to be Larry.
I ended up asking him if he loved me. He said, I don't know. I said, do you love her? He said, I don't know.
That set you off?
Someone was stabbed?
Yes, she's on the floor.
I didn't have the intent to kill Sarah. I really just wanted to scare them.
It looks more like fury than fear. Did you kill Sarah to possess what she had with Josh?
Sorry.
Interview with a Killer. New episode Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
There is no evidence that she left the house after the video surveillance shows her walking into the house on January 7th, 2021. The only person who had a motive, who spoke of the desire to hurt her, is the defendant.
Really important piece of circumstantial evidence. Maya Millete she goes in and never comes out. Well, prosecutors believe she came out, but was hidden by Larry Millete. Maya's still missing. She's never been found. Cody Thomas, Court TV field reporter, went out to Chula Vista and in the area of where they lived and shows us some of the areas that have been searched as everyone desperately tries to find Maya.
Now, of course, an integral part of this investigation were the searches and the continued searches for Maya's body done by police and by members of the community. Now, take a look at where I am right here, right now. This is Mount San Miguel Trail. This is only walking distance from the Millete's Chula Vista neighborhood. Now, Maya's sister told me that Maya would love to come out here to decompress, become one with nature. She just loved to hike and be out here in nature. But she also said that once Maya went missing, they spent months upon months searching this remote area. I mean, you can see it's rocky, it's very sandy on the trail. There's plenty of places to hide over in these bushes, very remote area. There's divots and canyons down in the valley. Obviously, you see the trails go all the way up to the top, but my sister said that they spent months out here searching for her body to no avail. She also told me that they also went over 100 miles deeper inland into San Diego County to desert area around Glamis, around the Ocotillo Wells, also searching for Maya's body out there, still to no avail. But right here on Mount San Miguel Trail, this is just one of many areas that police and community members spent months, weeks, copious amounts of days searching for Maya's body. Now remember, part of Larry's initial story was that Maya just up and left. She got tired of the marriage, tired of her family, and just left. But mind you, her Jeep was still parked outside of the home when she was reported missing, meaning that she would have had to leave on foot. Maybe come to this trail, something, according to Larry, could have happened out here on this trail. But again, after months of searching, no body, no Maya was found out here.
And that brings us to the next question in our investigation. What is the status of the search for Maya? Still with us, the sister of Maya, Millete, Mary Chris Juliet, and also joining us, search volunteer Manita Gordon, who is assisting with this very important search effort. Manita, thank you so much for joining us. Mary Chris, I'll begin with you. What are you hearing from law enforcement? Are they engaged in any search efforts still to this day? How would you describe that?
Well, since the beginning, we couldn't really get much information from them because they don't want to tint the investigation. So from the very beginning, we were doing our own searches. We're just really thankful for all the volunteers, the community that came together in our aid to help us, do our searches, our initial searches, almost 5 years ago. And we were doing, search almost like a weekly basis before. But I never really got any much information from the police, from the DA's office or from the police department. And again, we respect that because we don't want to jeopardize the investigation. So we were just doing on our own, with the help of the volunteers that came together. We just kind of put together like a map or a search area that possibly, where Maya could be, because all we have is what Larry have said. She left in the morning on a Friday morning. He told me himself that she probably went for a hike in the morning and never came back. And that was it. And then also from the trial, the pre-trial, that he was actually out of the house, early morning, and then about 7 o'clock in the morning, and came back about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's all we got, from the investigation.
It's so difficult. Manita, give us your backstory, how you got involved, and the status of all the searches at this point.
So I joined the Maya search team in February of 2021 after I heard about her story on the news. It was something that drew me to Maya and wanted me to be a part of it. She was a young mom that was missing. She had a loving family and a community that was backing her. And so I've gone out on countless numbers of searches. Right now, we plan to have a search in November. We did a couple of searches earlier this year in Ocotillo, Wales. So we're still out there searching for Maya. We want to bring her home to her family.
Absolutely. Mary Chris, in light of how horrific all of this is, you have people like Manita who are jumping in. That's got to be pretty amazing and helpful for your family to have the support of the community like that.
It is. It gives us strength to keep on going, even though we hardly see the light after the tunnel. But these volunteers that had become our family, they've been holding us up, helping us in any way that they can. And if I would let them know I have some area to look at. If you guys could, help me out and go search, and they jump in, no questions asked. They said, let's go find Maya, let's bring her home. That's what they always tell us. So we are very, very grateful for Manita and our I Am Maya team, and then the rest of the community that has been helping us.
Manita, what can you tell us about the November search? Have you figured out what area you're going to go to, and have you set the date yet? Because we'd like to help you get the word out.
Not yet. So we don't have all of those final details worked out, but we'll make sure that when we do, that everything is published, because we do want support to continue the search for Maya.
Absolutely. And Mary Chris, there's going to be a murder trial, right? We've been talking about that. But for you and the family, how important is it to continue searching and to ultimately find your sister?
It will mean the world to us, especially for her children. That will mean a great thing to us. We'll have closure with the family. I don't even, to be honest, I don't even really care about the trial. I just want my sister home. That's all that matters to us right now. We just want her home, bring her home, have a closure, and have her children know what really happened to her.
Mary Chris, our best to you and the family. You know, our thoughts are with you. Manita, it's folks like you who really give us hope. You know, we cover a lot of bad things here on Court TV and on the show every night, but it's folks like you that give us reason to be thankful, and let us know those details and we'll get the word out. All right, still to come. Does Larry Millete's story make sense? I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of the disappearance of mother of three, Maya Millete. Her husband has been charged with a murder, even though Maya is still missing. Here's the story. The disappearance of Maya Millete began like too many tragic mysteries. A devoted wife, a devoted mother, suddenly gone? Her husband, Larry, said she walked away after an argument. But investigators soon unearthed a disturbing picture. A crumbling marriage, whispers of jealousy, and online searches about dark, binding spells. As the search widened from beaches to desert canyons, friends refused to give up. Their love for Maya, a driving movement that caught national attention. For months, no one was charged. Then came the turn. Larry Millete, the man pleading for her return, was arrested for her murder. Prosecutors say the motive was control. The evidence circumstantial but chilling. Her body remains missing, but her voice echoes through every courtroom appearance and every prayer. Where is Maya Millete? And Larry Millete has been charged with a murder. We've seen some of the evidence that prosecutors have in this case through the preliminary hearing and other manner of ways, but there's two sides to every story, right? It's a trial, so there's at least two sides to it. So let's bring in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas, who's been following all this for us. Cody, let's go through it. What is Larry's story here?
Well, Vinny, there, of course, is a lot to unpack here with Larry's story on that January night in 2021, because there may have been gunshots heard before. There was audio from a neighbor's camera that heard what seemed to sound like gunshots. There was an issue with Maya's phone being off and never coming back on. So with all of this, we, of course, went out to Chula Vista, went out to the San Diego area to investigate and follow Larry's alibi. Take a look. Around 6 a.m., 5:59 a.m., neighboring cameras again, they pick up Larry Millete's Lexus, repositioning in the driveway, backing into the garage. Now, prosecutors could argue that he was packing up Maya's body to take it off and dump it somewhere. But about 45 minutes later, 6:43 a.m., he's seen leaving the home, and he's not picked up on camera coming back until about 12 hours later, 6:06 p.m. Millete says he took his 4-year-old son about 45 minutes up the road to Solana Beach near Del Mar, California. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to track that alibi. We're going to drive him to the beach and see where that drive and what that location would have looked like that day. So we're here now at Solana Beach. This is the beach that Larry Millete, in his alibi to investigators, told them that he took his 4-year-old son that day between that 11 to 12-hour period that he was gone from the home on January 8th of 2021. Now look around at this beach. Of course, there's plenty of people out here. It's very busy, just a regular old beach outside of San Diego. Still unclear as to why he came this far away and only brought one of his 3 children, He could have gone to a closer beach, such as Pacific Beach in San Diego, that would have been a 10 to 15-minute drive from his home. But one wrench in his alibi to investigators in a hearing earlier this year said on record that they asked Millete to point out on a map where he went, again, that same day, January 8th, in that long 12-hour period. He pointed to a place on that map that was a little bit different than here. He actually pointed right here on that map, right here behind me, Torrey Pines State Beach. Now, if you look at these two places, Solana Beach, Torrey Pines, on a map, they're not too far away, only about 4 to 5 miles. But if he was so adamant to investigators that he was at Solana Beach during that 11 to 12-hour period, why is it that when he was looking at a map that has words and labels for specific places, why is it that he would point to here? It could cause questions to arise in the investigation, of course, as to why also he only brought one child, that 4-year-old son, and left the other 2 children at home. But of course, this is Larry Millete's alibi, and this is the story he's sticking to as this case continues to develop. So, Vinnie, integral part of his story. He's leaving at 6 a.m. in January to head to the beach. Now, of course, Chula Vista, San Diego, that's a beachy town, but January is still the middle of winter. So we looked up the weather. January 8th, 2021, headed to the beach. The high, only 61, the low, 46. Now, that's not to say people don't go to the beach out there in these conditions in the middle of January. Of course, they live out there. That is a beachy town, but it's pretty cold to go to the beach, especially at 6 a.m. with your 4-year-old child. Now, moving along, Vinnie, after Maya went missing, Larry did an interview with local TV station Scripps News Group San Diego, and he admits that they were having problems in their relationship. Take a listen to this.
When did you first notice that May was missing?
Saturday morning.
Okay. And tell me...
Her parents came by.
Just tell me, kind of walk me through like the last time you saw her and what was going on.
Thursday night, you know, like we got into a kind of an argument, and you know, we've been having you know, like problems, you know, for about a year. We kind of like been up and down and stuff like that. But after that, you know, I give her space.
So just tell me, so you got into an argument, and then the last time you saw her was actually in the house?
Yes,
okay.
Thursday.
So she didn't, she didn't take a vehicle?
No.
No one saw her leave?
No, but on Friday, I could still hear her, but I didn't physically see her when I got home. But that's like normal too, because we, you know, we have lots of bedrooms, it's a 2-story house, and, you know, we kind of like, well, I give her space. So, but that's why every time someone says Thursday, yes, it's physically, you know, or, you know, visually see her, but for me, it's Friday night. You know, I can hear her, like, wrestling around, making dinner for herself in another bedroom. I'm sleeping with the kids in another bedroom. When I came back, she was still there on Friday. We can hear her downstairs, you know, like after I'm done giving the kids baths and feeding them and everything. And on Saturday morning, when her parents came by, her door was locked. I found the keys to the bedroom, and I opened it, and she was already gone. So maybe she went to a morning sunrise hike.
So, of course, Vinnie, now we know Larry Millete was eventually arrested and charged with Maya's murder. Now, when he was behind bars, he agreed to do an interview with a reporter from NBC7 San Diego, and she asked him some tough questions as well. Take a listen to clips from that.
You know, over 20 years together. So, you know, I love her and I love her still.
Did something happen in the heat of the moment?
No comment. At first, Larry said that a lot, saying he didn't want to jeopardize his defense at trial.
I don't even want to say anything, you know, about that stuff. But the allegations are outrageous.
So where do you think Maya is now?
No comment, ma'am.
And Vinnie, further in that specific interview, the reporter eventually asked him, how is it that Maya is not seen on video leaving the home? To which Larry said, it'll all come out in trial.
All right, thanks, Cody. That brings us to the next question in our investigation. Does Larry Millete's story make sense? Here to help answer that question is former homicide detective, host of The Interview Room with Chris McDonough. It is Chris McDonough. and host of the 13th Juror podcast and Crime Junkie Jury on YouTube. Brandy Churchwell is with us. All right. Brandy, I'll ask you first. Is this making any sense to you, his story?
No, not even a little bit. You know, there are parts of it that I feel like, you know, I'm a beach girl. I live at the beach. I know that saying one name of the beach instead of the other one 4 miles away, I don't have so much of a problem with that. I can forgive that. It's literally everything else involved in that. You know, taking a 4-year-old child to the beach 45 minutes away in January, that early in the morning, that makes no sense. All of the, you know, I feel like even with him talking about the argument, you know, they got into an argument, but then there are all of these other things that he gives. I feel like anytime people tell a lie, there's always like little bits of truth that are kind of thrown in there and then, you know, kind of wrapped up with a lot of deception. So I feel like the argument part was probably the only part that was actually making sense for any of his story.
Chris McDonough, the part I always get caught up on, besides the 46 degrees going to the beach, it's just not happening, is they're in the house, and they have a nice house. It's a very nice house. But it's not a mansion, okay? 2 parents, 3 young children, and you're not gonna see your wife for like more than a day in the house, like in the same house. Like it's. You've been to the neighborhood. This is not a sprawling mansion where, you know, I'm living in the East Wing and she's living in the West Wing. It's a nice, basic 4-bedroom house. Like, I can't get past that, oh, I heard her, but I didn't visually see her. Like, to me, that makes no sense.
Yeah, totally agree, Vinnie. I mean, not only that, it backs up right to, you know, some other neighbors who, they report the same thing. You know, she didn't climb over the back wall. She's not seen on videotape in any way, shape, or form. And, you know, this disappearance comes after, you know, this conversation of, well, we kind of had an argument. You know, well, what the heck does that mean? And so, you know, his story is going to fall apart, I believe, and it's going to crumble based upon, you know, a lot of this scrutiny that the prosecution's going to put into him.
Yeah, Brandy, what questions do you have for Larry Millete? If you had an opportunity to sit him down.
So many. I think, you know, one of my biggest questions would be, how can you disappear for an entire day and have zero corroborating evidence or witnesses to prove where you were, you know, and having your phone off. Phones are kind of like the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to prosecutions, right? But also the absence of data can be just as powerful evidence as the actual phone data itself. So having a phone that's off for such a long amount of time while he's supposedly gone, you know, with a 4-year-old, I don't think that makes any sense. So I think having to explain how you can come up with this weird alibi and explanation, but then have absolutely nothing that supports what you're saying.
Yeah. Chris, the other part of this is, right, there was this big window of time. It was like all day that he was gone. And you've been to that area, you've been involved in the searches. There's so many different places he could have gone, besides just driving 45 minutes, like you said, to the beach, parking and hanging out all day.
Yeah, and that's the big problem here in this particular case. If let's say it's a body dump, then he has a long way to go. He could have gone out to Ocotillo. He could have even gone to the border because their community is right there on the border. But the forensic evidence, there was a ping that was taking place behind the house. The authorities believed at that time, Vinnie, that it was just her phone, not necessarily her body. And there was that belief that he put her in the trunk of his car when he was seen leaving earlier in the morning, and took his child with him. So where he would have dumped her if he's the suspect, if the allegations are true, then that's anybody's guess right now, and that's what's frustrated, I think, the authorities and the district attorney currently.
Absolutely, and broken the hearts of the family. Chris McDonough, The Interview Room, Brandy Churchwell, Crime Junkie, 13th Juror Podcast. Thank you both so much. Coming up next, why was Larry contacting spellcasters?
Some things are meant to be.
I'm going to ask you a lot of intensely personal questions. How do you explain it? The worst crime anyone can imagine. Do you feel like you took the fall for this murder? Tell me in your own words, what happened? Let's get started.
Interview with a Killer. New episode Saturdays at 8 Eastern and Pacific. Only on Court TV.
For I can't help falling in love with you.
That was from Maya's YouTube channel. She would do some performances, do some singing, playing guitar. She loved hiking. She loved living life, basically. Let me bring back in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas. And obviously, we listened before about these arguments, and there was talk about them breaking up and everything else. What was Larry doing to try to hold on to Maya?
Well, Vinny, you know, most people go the normal route of maybe begging or pleading their significant other to stay or promising that they'll change their behaviors. Larry went out and bought spellcasting books. Spellcasting books to cast, literally in an attempt to try to cast a spell on Maya for her to stay with him and stay with their family. And he didn't stop there, Vinny. He went on to actually write emails to multiple, I guess what you call professional spellcasters, requesting spells on both Maya and the man that she was allegedly having an affair with. Here's some of what he said. Here's the first one. He says in an email, "I would like a powerful love spell to bind my wife, May T. Millete, to me forever. Also for her to love me unconditionally as I love her." Another one, Vinny, he says, or asks a spellcaster, "Should I purchase the Become My Sex Slave Now casting you offer and make it permanent versus only 90 days? Can you make it permanent?" Interesting. Another one, Vinny, "Do you have any spells that can manifest to cause physical harm? Very respectfully, Larry Millete." Moving along, "If you are able to cast a spell for an accident to cripple or cause bodily harm without killing, maybe, if possible." And another one, Vinny, the last one, "Can you give someone cancer?" Trying to put harmful spells at that on his wife, Maya. Just very unorthodox way to go about trying to keep somebody in a relationship.
Yeah, and wanting her perhaps maimed but not killed. Okay, that brings us to the next question in our investigation. Thanks so much, Cody. Yeah, this is a deep one. Why was Larry contacting spellcasters? Like, what's going on? What's his state of mind and all that? Here to help with our investigation, psychotherapist, CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey. Okay. On the one hand, he wants her to love him forever. On the other hand, he wants her maimed so she can't leave. On the other hand, perhaps she wants to give someone cancer. What's going on with Larry Millete? Why is he calling on a spellcaster to solve his problems?
Well, Vinny, this is, I think, going to be really critical to this investigation because we see, and as we just read, we have a man who desperately is trying to control his wife through the magical thinking to someone who explicitly is requesting physical harm. And to me, this isn't just about cultural practices. This is potential documented evidence of homicidal ideation. So when we think about Larry's communication, it's a goldmine to what his mindset was at this time, right? So we see this escalation, which when we look at domestic violence situations, that escalation pattern is going to be critical, trying to make her love him and fall in love to a sex slave to now wanting to cause bodily harm. So I think we want to be clear about what we're seeing. It's escalation, and that homicidal ideation, he moved from that trying to control to now, if I can't potentially have her, then I want her to suffer. And I think that's going to be really important when we look at these cases, especially when domestic violence, because domestic violence looks different in a lot of cases. But one of the things that we do look at is the progression and the escalation, and especially when the person who's trying to do the controlling, when they don't get what they want. It sounds like in this case, potentially, then he took direct action, and hopefully we will find the truth for their family.
And we have another guest joining us right now, author and conjure woman, Miss Aida. Miss Aida, thank you so much for joining us. How common is this, or how rare is this, that a man who is in a troubled relationship with his wife would call on a spellcaster to make her love him more and then perhaps harm her or harm the man he suspects that she is having an affair with?
It's common for people to seek love spells. It's uncommon for people to seek cursing and crossing spells. And, you know, I was looking at the case, and this man said he would sell his soul to the devil. I mean, that he would sell his soul. And he was going through witchcraft books and performing his own witchcraft. And I'm sure the doctor can answer this. I have a master's in nursing, so I look at the not only the metaphysical, but I look at the physiological and the psychosocial aspects. And this guy was in a frenzy. He says he's going to sell his soul, or wants to sell his soul to get what he wants. I'm beginning to wonder if he sold his soul to the devil, because when people are in a frenzy and they're practicing stuff that they're very unfamiliar with, witchcraft isn't that easy. You don't just go through books and learn to perform things. And I think his mind went crazy, and either he made a deal with the devil, and, you know, you brought me in here as a metaphysical practitioner. So I can say either he imagined that he made a deal that if he killed her, that they would be together forever, or was he actually talking to a demon that convinced him to kill her with some sort of promise? That's what's standing out for me, is this frenzy, the frenzy of the numerous spellcasters, the frenzy of performing his own spell work, the frenzy of saying he'd sell his soul. This all comes together now. It's starting to make sense to me.
Absolutely.
I think this is another Son of Sam situation. I really do.
Miss Aida, we appreciate you coming on tonight. Great to speak with you, and we'll speak with you again as we get closer and closer to the trial. And always great to see you, Dr. Janie Lacey. Great insight. You know, the use of spellcasters to me is an incredibly revealing fact in this case. It shows to me the level of desperation Larry Millete was feeling. Desperate to hold on to his wife, who no longer wanted to be with him. And to me, that is a mindset very capable of murder. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.